I do not encourage or condone the use of tobacco or cannabis products, and if you're under the age of 18, you can go ahead and get out of here right now.
Alrighty, so today I'm going to be smoking a Newport Red cigarette, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about the downfall of Juul. Now, Juul used to be one of the biggest vape manufacturers in the entire world, and, well, now it's not. So, what caused this downfall? What caused the fall of Juul? And why aren't they not really that successful today? Granted, don't get me wrong, they're still successful. They're still doing better than a lot of other brands, but they're certainly not doing as well as they did a couple years ago. But I think without further ado, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and get this cigarette lit up and go ahead and start talking about it. Let's go to y'all. Now, I have a sheet here with a couple of reasons, and really the first reason to me is, simply put, it's the vape cart epidemic. The epidemic where it was a bunch of THC carts that were filled with vitamin E that started spreading around the US and caused a scare kind of thing, a scare in vapes. Even though it wasn't a nicotine vapes, it was perfectly safe to still use nicotine vapes kind of thing. But the THC cart epidemic really messed Juul over. It really messed them over and caused a lot of people to start filing lawsuits against them, which really messed them over. And to me, that was just the final nail in the coffin. But there's so many other reasons that are just so attributable to the downfall of Juul, such as the owner of Marlboro, the owner of Philip Morris, Altria, bought 35% of Juul. A month later, they stopped producing the creme brulee and the mango flavor. So yeah, I think it can be attributed to the buying of that, and Altria bought 35% of it to make them less successful because they knew that, hey, look, these mango flavors kind of thing, they're really successful. They're going to be seeing a lot of different stuff. So let's get rid of those, and let's just make this company not be as successful so we can start keep promoting our cigarettes kind of thing. And that's another reason why they really started fading out, because after the mango flavor left kind of thing, there was mint and menthol and Virginia tobacco and tobacco. And after they got rid of mint, a lot of people just switched to a different device kind of thing. You could switch to Vuse and get still a great flavor kind of thing. Why wouldn't you kind of thing? If your flavor is gone now and you don't like any other flavors, why wouldn't you switch to another device? Another thing that really messed Juul over was the 21 rule. A lot of their buying, a lot of the people that bought Juuls were, well, under 21 kind of thing. So when the 21 rule was introduced, well, because of the vape epidemic, because of the THC car epidemic, a lot of Juul's buying base really kind of died off. So they really lost a lot of buyers on that, especially since Juuls aren't really sold in, like, well, vape shops. They're really mostly sold at gas stations. So even if a vape shop does an ID, they still don't sell Juuls there. But another reason is simply because they were ordered by the FDA to stop advertising Juuls as being safer than cigarettes. Because this was a thing basically to just tell them to stop advertising that they're safer kind of thing. Because while vapes may be safer than cigarettes, it's not safe kind of thing. It might be 95% safer than cigarettes, but there's still that 5% risk kind of thing. So it's still not safe. And people were taking that they were safer as cigarettes and assuming that they were just safe overall when they're not kind of thing. And they got in a lot of trouble for that. Actually, the FDA had to step in and tell them to stop messing around with that sort of stuff. And this is the same stuff that American Spirit got in trouble with in the past, in the early 2000s. So I'm kind of wondering why Juul didn't just take a hint from that, because the lawsuit's completely public for the American Spirit lawsuit, and it's the exact same stuff. American Spirit got in trouble for marketing their cigarettes as being safer than other cigarettes because they had organic, natural American Spirits kind of thing, but they're just not safer kind of thing. It's still a cigarette. It's still not safe. It's the exact same with Juul. And then there were also claims that Juul was advertising to teens because they were advertising on social media and they were advertising within 1,000 feet of a school, which is not allowed by the FDA for tobacco companies. And since Juul is a tobacco company, they got in a lot of trouble for that. And they also didn't really know how to deal with the FDA at all. When they were first created in 2015, when they first started selling products, they were kind of grandfathered in because the FDA didn't really take control of the e-cigarette market until 2016. But then in 2016, when they started taking control, they started being busted down quite a bit. And then once everything kind of expired with the FDA in 2020, they got in a lot of trouble kind of thing because their products were found to be kind of skimming the line on what's legal and what's not kind of thing. So they got in a lot of trouble for that too. And my personal favorite factor as to why Juul isn't really successful and why I actually quit Juuling, because I used to have a Juul back in 2 years ago. I had a Juul, and the reason I quit using a Juul was because their pods are 0.7 milliliters. A Vuse pod is 1.5 milliliters. Both of them cost $5. So you go through a Juul pod a lot faster, and it's just not an economical thing. Now, to me, Juuls are the best cig-alike kind of thing. The best cig-alike I've ever tried. I've never tried another vape that hit like a Juul kind of thing. Juuls hit like a cigarette. I absolutely love Juuls. Do not get me wrong. I think they're a great product. But they're just so expensive, and I just could not maintain that kind of thing. And that's why, I mean, like, I'm still smoking kind of thing. But I gotta be completely honest with you guys. Juul used to be something super, super successful, and now they're kind of falling. And these are really the reasons as to why they're falling. It's all about the marketing. It's all about them not really following the FDA's procedures, and really them just getting in a lot of trouble for doing a lot of stupid stuff they really should not have done. But don't get me wrong, Juul is still an extremely successful company, and they're still worth a lot. However, they're just not nearly as successful as they used to. In the last month, I've met maybe one person who Juuled. Freshman year of college, I knew at least 30 to 35 people who Juuled. Now, all of them have either quit nicotine or they use like a Novo or something like that, or they use disposables now. So it's kind of amusing to see how Juul really has fallen, but I suppose it makes sense. Man, this cigarette is absolutely fantastic though, but I gotta be completely honest, the fall of Juul is really something I think a lot of vape companies need to take into mind kind of thing. They really need to take the fall of Juul into mind, because if other vape companies follow in Juul's footsteps, well, they're gonna see themselves having the same issues as Juul has, which really is not a lot of fun. Juul, in my opinion, has not failed as a company. They still have time to recover, but right now they're really, really struggling, in my opinion, and they really need to get their stuff together, if you ask me. The whole thing with them just being stupid with marketing on social media, because that's not something cigarette companies are allowed to do. And with the FDA hasn't approved any cigarettes since they took control of the cigarette market, or since they started regulating the cigarette market in the early 2000s, and they haven't approved any new cigarettes since then. And I would not be surprised if they start doing the same stuff with e-liquid and with Juul and stuff like that, where they just don't approve anything kind of thing. So I'm really waiting for that stuff to happen, and well, hopefully it doesn't happen in the future, but I would fully assume that sort of stuff is going to happen in the future, which is going to lead Juul to going down a lot more. But until then, well, I guess people are going to keep Juuling, you know what I'm saying? This cigarette is absolutely fantastic, though. I really cannot complain. Newport Reds are one of my favorite cigarettes, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Cannot complain in the least. It's just a great cigarette. I gotta be completely honest with y'all. But I know this video has been a little bit of a different topic. I don't usually talk about the fall of companies. I don't usually talk about company analytics, but this is something that really interests me. I'm a marketing major myself, so I find it really interesting how Juul has marketed themselves and how they got in trouble for it, because I think it's something a lot of companies can really take as an example of what not to do kind of thing. I think Juul really messed it up, and they really should not have done a lot of that stuff they did. But it's something I think a lot of companies can take a word from. I think it's something a lot of companies can learn from. So I think it's definitely something that people need to think about if they want to start a new e-liquid company or something like that. But yeah, I know I usually end my videos when the cigarette is over, but I don't have anything else to talk about, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram and my book in the description down below. Highly recommend you guys check both those out. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Until the next one, stay safe and peace. Have a great one out there, and stay safe, yo.